You'll need to make sure that you have your black piece of thick paper, your ruler, and a pencil. For your ruler, you need to make sure that you cut very carefully along the black outline, so that way it'll be the correct measurements and will also have a nice straight edge. Do the best you can with that. You can also use clear packing tape on the front and back to make it a little bit more sturdy. What we need to do first is figure out how wide the shortest side of our paper is, because we're going to cut this to make it a square for our mandala. The short side of your paper is 6 inches long, and you'll need to mark and cut the long side so that way it is a 6 by 6 square. Line my ruler up on the long side of the paper. Make sure the end of your ruler is right at the edge of your paper at the corner, and you're going to make a mark at 6 inches. And I'm marking that pretty lightly. Line it up flat against the paper here and give the same measurement. Once I have those 2 marks, then I will line them up with my ruler, making sure to keep my ruler right next to where the line is so that I can draw straight across. And that's going to be where I cut. And then this extra is just off to the side. I can use this for test paper later to see how the colors show up. Now I need to find the center. So the first thing I'm going to do is have my ruler go from corner to corner. So if you want, you can turn your paper. Make sure that you hold your ruler carefully. And you don't want to draw these lines too dark. You should be able to just barely see them. It should go from corner to corner. We need from the other corner to corner. Now we know where the center of our paper is, because our mandala is going to grow out from the center. To make things a little bit easier, you also can mark the lines left and right and up and down. What I want to do is put my ruler right next to where that center point is, but also making sure that the end of my ruler is flush with the end of my paper. That way I know it's going to be a straight line all the way across. And then I need one here from one side to the other. So again, I'm going to find that center point, line up my ruler to the edge of the paper, and draw all the way across. Now I have this in 8 sections. At this point, we need to break up the area. You'll notice on your ruler that there are markings for 1/8, 1/4, 3/8, 1/2, 5/8, 3/4, 7/8, and the 1 inch. So I didn't label all of the rest of the inches, but they're the exact same. So what we want to do first is I'm going to put the corner of my ruler in the corner of that center point, and I'm going to make a small dot at 3/8, just a little dot. And I can turn my paper and do that for each line. Each line needs a dot at 3/8 of an inch, so that way we can prepare to make a circle in the center. So now we have all of our dots at the 3/8 marks. And now all we need to do is, again, very lightly with the pencil, connect these dots so that way we have our circle in the middle. And that's where our design is going to start. But let's make a few more marks out. For the next one, I'm going to make those dots at a 1/2 inch. So I'm starting at the last dot that I created and going up to 1/2 inch. And I'm going to do that for all of those lines again. Line it up to the dot I made previously. Make a dot at 1/2 of an inch. For each line, I move the ruler up to start at the previous dot. So now I have my 8 dots there. And again, I'm just going to use a slight curve to connect all those dots together. So for each of these sections, we just want to get a little bit larger each time. Also, be careful to not make big mistakes and then erase too much. When you erase on this paper, those marks still kind of show. So just be very careful and draw very lightly. So for the next one, I'm going to do that at 5/8. So we did it 3/8, 1/2, and now this one is at 5/8. Move your ruler to begin at the previous dot and mark for 5/8 of an inch. And again, going to connect that circle. For the next section, I'm going to go with that 3/4. So one more mark longer. Again, I move my ruler up to meet with the previous dot for each line, and all of these are being marked at 3/4 of an inch. After that, I go ahead and again lightly sketch the circle for this last ring. Now I have these concentric rings that are continuing to go out, and it kind of looks like a spider web right now. So this is what you are wanting your paper to look like, and you're actually going to do the same thing on the back side. We're going to make 2 mandalas, one that will be cool colors on one side and warm colors on the other. Some things to keep in mind while you are creating your design. You can use simple or complex shapes. You can choose organic or geometric, whatever it is that you would like. And you're going to use the rings that you have on your paper as guidelines to help you make your shapes all the right length and width, things like that. Remember that this is a radial design, so it radiates out from the center. Everything should be mirrored, so that way you do something on one side of the circle, you do the same thing on the other side of the circle, like if you were looking into a mirror. Once the design is done, I need to choose whether this is going to be the warm or cool colored mandala. This one is going to be the warm. So I need to gather my red, orange, and yellow pencils. I can also use white, and if I make any mistakes, I can use black to kind of clean up some edges. While you're working on this black paper, one thing to keep in mind is that you need to use a technique called burnishing. So what I'm doing here, I'm not necessarily pressing down very hard, but I am using a firm hand and making sure to very carefully and cleanly cover the area, and I need to kind of keep going in circles with the pencil to make a nice smooth area and make sure that it is completely covered so that it does not have any of the black paper showing through. You'll notice that it is a little bit shiny, and you'll see a difference in the amount of coverage that you have with your color. You'll need to make sure that the entire page is covered with designs all the way out to the edge and all the way to the corners. Also, make sure to have very clean coloring, no scribbles. Everything is completely filled in except for those spaces between the shapes. So that way, again, you have that stained glass look to your piece. And then once you finish with the design on the front, you'll turn it over and create another design on the back. So it should be a different design on the back, so different shapes, different placement, and also it's going to be the opposite color scheme than what you chose for the front. So for mine, since I started with a warm color scheme of red, yellow, and orange, I would need to use a cool color scheme on the back with blue, green, and purple.